Welcome, everybody. My name is Walt Hoff. I spent 29 years in corporate America. The last 25 I was in the pharmaceutical industry, where I did many things from sales to sales management. I was in human resources. And the last thing I did, I was in leadership development or learning and development. Long before even I got it really into the industry, I knew at an early age that I would want to have my own business. I really didn't know what it would be until I really started diving into different things I did in HR and my last job, leadership development. And that's when I saw this type of work, consulting, facilitating, and just fell in love. We talk about talent management in such a way that always makes me feel, do we really understand it? How about we develop some talent? I mean, truly develop it, and just not tell people, here's your job, here's your desk, go to it. How do we develop people? And the bottom line there, underline is, so it links to the business strategy. So what's the real bridge to this talent management? You know, how do you really begin to make it come to life here? And here's the big words here around engagement, higher performance, and greater results. So developing your talent can get you here. Okay? And if you have these things, you're more likely to have a more satisfied and more productive workforce here. I always saw where development really started at the company level, up top. And it starts and our speaker, our keynote early this morning, touched right on this about what's the mission? What's the vision? What's the company strategy? Then get down to what's our department strategic objectives, okay? And then you get down to, well, what are the individual strategic objectives? And a lot of that's based on some things we'll talk about around what's their needs, okay? What are your department needs? What's their needs? What's the organization's needs? And then you put something in that individual development plan, the IDP that everyone talks about here. So there's a cascade effect for me in terms of creating talent, creating good development to develop that talent. There are goals that we set, right? Everyone has a set of goals, and a lot of times those goals tend to be goals that are quantitative. And I'm going to talk more about this a little bit later on here, okay? The goals I'm talking about here could be more qualitative, and that's why sometimes I think they're a little more challenging to develop, right? So we'll talk more as we go through about this too. Let's take a look now. Characteristics of employee development goals. And that last part about being smart. Everyone knows what a SMART goal is, I'm sure, right? We tend to associate SMART goals with the quantitative stuff, and I think we can do it qualitatively as well here. Talks about the outcomes, the importance of the outcomes here of developing good goals, and also talks about your role, you being a leader, if you're leaders of people, or the organization's role. It's a four-step process here. The first says, hey, get them to reflect too. And I don't know if this is baked into part of your process. You get them to sit down. Where am I? Current job. Where am I? Big picture. Okay? So both of you all do this. And then you're focusing on strengths, mainly, okay, to get them there. And then throughout the year, you're reviewing and revising. That's the important piece here. Reviewing and revising what's really going on here. Okay? How close are you to your goals in your current job? How close are you, if the next step is really realistic, to that particular next step here? And this reflection process really does two things. Again, focuses on the current situation, focuses on a potential future situation here. Here are 12 questions that organizations do and should ask employees periodically. Doesn't have to be just during performance review time. This could be informal too, informal one-on-ones. Hey, tell me how you feeling about working here, you know? What satisfies you? Talk about your task. What do you like doing? What don't you like doing? Why? These are the types of questions that convey to employees, hey, he or she cares about me, my development, and as a person. Okay? So they're just not looking for the results. They're just not looking for the productivity. They're looking to see, how well I'm doing here. This is very important for the current workforce, that's particularly the one that's coming in now. This is the stuff that floats their boat. So take a look at these questions here. Like this. What I thought would be neat is if you all, right now, individually, take this assessment. Now, you can do it, you can think about it from one of two ways. This can be you. So if you don't have direct reports, this is you. If you do have direct reports, pick one and do this assessment on them as their manager. So if you don't have direct reports, do this on you. Any ahas, surprises? That you can talk about.
I did the assessment on one of my employees who I consider to be a top, performer.
A top performer.
And there was some recent discussion about her being a possible candidate for leadership.
Next step.
Moving up into
Next
a
step.
leadership.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And this assessment made me look at some very crucial things that she will need to develop being successful into that.
In the next role.
Things
Perfect.
such as developing others and establishing focus and
Okay.
delegation, or some of the lower end things that she performs operational, excellent teamwork, but there's still, it's a nice assessment to quickly identify some of those areas that probably still need to.
Okay.
Areas of opportunity.
Areas of opportunity as you step up to the next level. Perfect. Good utilization. Anyone ever heard or talked about the 70-20-10 approach to developing, to coming up with just not the goal, but the activities? Let's say you got a development goal. I want to improve my communication skills, if that's one of them. And to do that, I'm your employee, and you say, well, go to this Dale Carnegie class. Because Dale Carnegie's real good at that. Or go to Toastmasters. It's been around since, 120 years now and still going strong. Do things like that. Or read this book. All good stuff. However, that should be only a small portion of the whole of developing that person. That small portion only falls in the 10% category, what's called formal self-directed learning. We tend to go there first and sometimes only, right? Look at the 20%. The 20% says coaching and feedback. So the implication is go to a course, go online, do whatever you have to do, and then when you come back, I'm going to coach you, or somebody else is going to coach you. It doesn't have to be, you if you're their supervisor. It could be you and others. It could be trainers or mentors. That should be about 20% of development. The other 70 says, now we take what you just learned and we look at your job, look at your competencies and your job description, and figure out how can we utilize what you just learned and put it to work to use in the job. We tend to focus, though, more on 10 when we develop people. Why? What's going on here?
It's easier. Time. Again.
That nasty word you keep coming up with, time.
We can have an employee, if they don't understand something or they want to learn about something, we can say, go to the policies book or go to the SharePoint site, or we can show you where to find it, and then you go
and nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with that. But go there, bring it back, and the question should be, now how are we going to use that? Let's apply this to some aspect of your job. And does it have to be you thinking that through as to how they're going to apply it, just you, or could it be them? So I'll submit to you, hey, it should be more, at least them, thinking, okay, I just learned this now, whatever this is, I got to apply this to the job. Because that, and we'll talk about this later too, that's what makes this thing they learn stick. You all the educators, so you know, you've heard the conversations around making education stick, transferable learning. This is truly how it's transferable. But we keep going to the 10%, take a course, read a book, but we don't do nothing with it afterward. We do nothing with it afterward. Give me your thoughts and comments. Beside time, why else do we tend to hang when we think about developing our people in that 10%?
Self-directed learning may be that they're working on courses after hours and weekends and on their own time, so it shows initiative, that it's not just you getting paid to be doing this. You're putting forth this on your own.
Okay, yeah. Great. That initiative is wonderful to see. So when they do that, what should you as a leader be doing after they take that initiative?
Give them opportunities to use it.
Opportunities to use it, right? Challenge them. Hey, okay, so you've learned this now. Do you see anything in the landscape here where you can actually use this skill? I'll tell you, your millennials will probably come up with too many ideas. Listen to them. There's got to be one or two that could be actionable. And if you need to coach them on their overall approach to how they incorporate those skills with the others that they work with, well, that's where the 20% comes in too. You coach them. Hey, I know you've done this. Let's say it's collaboration. That's a big competency these days, right? And they need a little work on that. So they go to a course and they come back and say, okay, what are you going to do with that collaboration now? Put it on them to come up with some ideas. And then let them know from your observations of them, you know what? Yeah, take this and just mold it, meld it just a little bit, tweak it just a little bit so that this newfound skill is going to really work for you. It's not going to work against you here.
My name is Kia Dunbar Harris, and I attended the workshop today with Mr. Walter Hoff, and I found this workshop very beneficial. I am in a manager position for my organization, and we are constantly looking for new ways to develop, motivate, and retain our staff members. So there are quite a few pointers that I will definitely be taking with me to my place of employment, and I will also be sharing it with my colleagues as ways to hopefully develop a talent development portion of some of our leadership opportunities that we have within our organization, because that is one area that I found from participating in this workshop where we are lacking. So the coaching, the measurable goals, honing in on the strengths and not eliminating the areas of opportunity are definitely some of the key points that I will be taking away from the workshop today.